Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan here today again with another video in our Pluto series for you. And today we're going to be looking at Pluto in the 11th house. So we currently have an online astrology platform called Astrology for the Uranian Souls. If you are interested in connecting with me and other astrology enthusiasts out there, you are so welcome to join us on this platform, especially if you have Pluto in the 11th house. It's a really interesting community that we have there, and I will provide a link in the description box below to that particular community and online platform for you. So yes, when you have Pluto in the 11th house, your biggest transformation comes from breakthroughs that you may have in your identification with your ideals. Meaning that you can go from being obsessively attached to particular ideals, and these attachments are actually coming from deep insecurity, to becoming really secure when you are in the pursuit of your objectives and ideals in life. So the particular evolutionary journey of this Pluto placement is coming from your deep need to break away from old and outdated societal ways of identifying yourself by being able to cut off any attachments that may prevent your growth. So basically you are searching for more progressive goals or progressive communities, progressive ideals, systems of thoughts that you can identify and align yourself with for your own personal growth. And in that process, you may find that you are someone who can sever ties with or cut off particular situations, individuals, or other groups and communities that you feel is holding you back from that identification, that journey, which you feel is going to lead to your personal growth. So a lot of people who have this Pluto placement are people who join particular communities or groups or align themselves with particular objectives that are considered in this day and age to be on the fringe of society. Particular names that the society assigns to these groups are hippies, gypsies, people who are into the occult. And the thing about the deeper motivation of Pluto, when Pluto really pushes you to join these particular groups and communities, is for your security. Pluto is all about security, but security through other people's resources. So that's what's happening kind of underneath the surface at the deeper parts of you, is security. Security for you is achieved by being able to put your visions into these particular communities and groups that have progressive systems of thoughts. And if you find that there are people who are stopping you or are not growing with you, the severing or the cutting off of the ties with these particular people can cause some shocks and pains in your life. But the thing about seeking for security through something else that is outside of yourself, such as what I mentioned previously, is that this is actually a prevention of your own growth. You see how you're trying to grow through these groups, but because you're so attached to it, or it can be particular systems of thoughts, that it actually prevents your growth. You're trying to live a life where there are no shoulds, where you are free to be authentically yourself. But if you're too attached to that, there's still a should involved. I should be authentic. I should be myself. I should not be what everybody else is. I should this, I should that. Ask yourself, if you have this Pluto placement, this is the darker side of Pluto, really ask yourself, get with your self-awareness. Are you behaving in these particular ways because there is still a deeper part of you that's saying that you shouldn't be, what's the word? Stagnant? You shouldn't be too traditional. You shouldn't be too stagnant. You should always grow. You should always grow. Is it the should that's coming in? Or is it really you being in the present moment and just simply growing? You may find that you are faced with certain resistance from friends, family, sometimes even lovers. If you find that there are resistance from these particular individuals to your, Pluto action, these identifications, these growths that you're looking to have, these particular resistance is telling you that the way that you're coming off in your aura, in the way that you're in pursuit of your objectives and your goals, is more ego focused, is more focused on security, seeking security through the outside. It's more focused on fears, which is Pluto. Pluto rules our fears, rather than from the goodwill for particular causes or groups that you are belonging in. The extreme and the imbalance of Pluto in the 11th house comes when you feel a sense of isolation, isolated from the connection with the society, with your friends, with your families, and with people who are, namely considered mainstream. And the extreme comes when you begin to question whether you should just be different no matter what, or whether you should just suppress your difference no matter what. Both of these are extremes. Both of these are coming from the ego. And ultimately, both of these questions are coming from an insecurity that is seeking for security and power. Pluto represents ultimately power. Power through a group, through an identification with some subculture group. So you will know that you are working at the lower vibration of this Pluto energy when you are belonging to particular groups, okay, and you are shunning other groups. For example, you are, let's say, an advocate, right, for living an organic lifestyle, and you are extreme in your viewpoints, in the way that you think about people who don't live an organic, natural lifestyle. You, depending on the aspects that Pluto makes in your chart and other things, but whether this is going to be like a more emotional type of a way of shunning other groups, or whether this can be more mental, like combative way, coming up with logic, coming up with reasoning to shun other particular groups, or whether this is going to be the more like physical way of shunning other groups of people who are not in alignment with what you are trying to do and what you believe in. Because there's not much tolerance there. There's not much understanding for humanity in general at all. If you really are a humanitarian, you have to understand that not everybody is on the same level of growth as you are. And the fact that you are causing reaction, putting off an energy of shunning other people or being very extreme in your viewpoints, you're causing a reaction in the particular groups of individuals that you're shunning. And this is not something that is obvious, but over time, the combative, reactive effect that you are causing is not what is going to bring, world peace. It is not what's going to bring a united world, which is what you're looking for. You're looking for a united world, but it cannot be done through arousing more reactions than other people. This is not understanding of the nature of human beings. This is intolerance for the nature of human beings. So in order to transform to the higher vibration, to the enlightenment vibration of this Pluto placement, you may be required to remove your ego, remove your insecurities from your work in particular communities and groups, meaning that you understand and accept all groups. You understand that everybody is searching for world peace, but not everybody knows how to freaking do it. But you at least accept that everybody is at least, you know, trying to get to the same place, and we all have our own journeys. We're all trying to figure it out. Objectivity and detachment, when you are working in particular communities and groups, is going to be really important with this Pluto placement, and the understanding that we are all different anyways. Just because you have aligned yourself with a particular group does not make your group different from the mainstream, because every single individual person is not the same, but at the same time we are all the same. We're different, but we're the same. So the polarity of the 11th house is the 5th house, meaning that to really remove your ego remove the insecurities and the ego from this Pluto placement is to get in touch with what do you have inside of you that you can contribute to particular groups. Who are you without needing to identify yourself with particular groups? If you're calling yourself, let's say, if you're calling yourself an animal activist, right? Then you're dependent on the feedback of that group. You're dependent on a lot of the things that goes on in that particular cause. But you also have a part of you that is just you. You're not just an animal activist, for example. You are just you. What do you have inside of you that you can bring into that particular group for animal activism? That can be radical, that can bring in radical changes in that group, that can enliven that group, that can elevate that system of thought or that way of thinking. And sometimes you may need to take time out from particular causes and groups to reflect back on your 5th house personal individual self-expression, your real passion, the power that you have within yourself that is purely coming from your own capabilities, your own passion. And this is not about the ego. This is not about the ego, because it doesn't matter, because you're not caring anymore about what other people are going to think. It's purely just a really great use of looking at your own energy, looking at your own DNA, genetic makeup, what you're made of, what you really have to contribute inside of you. When you do this, you will find that you are already different. And if you have this Pluto placement, you know, of course, getting into astrology is great, but if you could even get into other systems of other metaphysical systems like human design or the gene keys, to really get this more, to get the sense of like what really makes you different from everyone else, you'll see that you're different. That person, the next person, the person next to you is different. Your friend is different. Your mother is different. Your father is different. Everybody's different. Not everybody's, of course, going to be able to use their inherent innate gifts and abilities, but you can use your innate gifts and abilities. So you are somebody, when working at the higher vibration of this, somebody who really figures out their own capabilities and their own like uniqueness, comes back into a particular group, of course, that aligns with your ideals, whatever those groups may be, and bring in the most innovative, the most radical ideas. Because you really understand and you can really perceive the patterns of the future and what is needed in this day and age to progress in the future times, in this coming age of Aquarius. You are that person who is at the forefront of this particular age of Aquarius, but you can't do that if you don't know what it is that you have to give. You are here meant to be a leader of social groups for change. You're here to lead these particular communities and groups. You are here to be open to trying new ideas, accepting new ideas, experimenting where necessary. You are here to deeply understand group dynamics so that you become a persuasive person in particular groups. You are innovative and creative in everything that you decide to do, because the creativity is really coming from a unique place inside of you. It is no longer coming from a need to get the feedback, see your creativity reflected through other people, and depending on that anymore. So that's going to be my interpretation of Pluto in the 11th house. If you have this placement, do comment below and let us know what your experiences have been. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't. If you already subscribed, then thank you very much for coming along. I do birth chart readings, synastry, relationship readings, and I have some astrology artwork that I've created available as a merchandise on my website. You can check that out. So yes, have a beautiful day, beautiful souls. Bye!